Welcome back to Lady Liadan's Learning Library. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to talk to a voice herald. This is my friend Ivo, his lordship Ivo?
Yes.
And he is a voice herald in the kingdom of Ansteora. Tell us a little bit about what voice heralds do.
Voice heralds are, frankly, to start off with, we're loud. I mean, we are loud when you don't want to be or can't be. Now, to be a little bit more formal about that, generally speaking, there are three things that we can do. The one you might have seen if you've been to an SCA event the most is announcing the pairings for a rapier or heavy weapons list, the fighting. You'll hear someone announce, would Lord so-and-so and Sir so-and-so please take the field? That's us. We're the guys that announce it. And then when one of them wins, we're going to shout victory too. So that's one of them. The other one, of course, is court heraldry. And if you've ever been to court, and if you haven't, okay, yes, it can be boring at times, I'll freely confess, but it has its exciting points, I promise. Just stick with me on that. The heralds are the ones that announce the court. This does now open the court, and we read all the awards, so that when someone's getting an award, we're the ones that are announcing that award. And I've done that too. It's a lot of fun. It's very close to my heart, and I gotta say, it's really, really good when I'm up there reading it, and it's one of my friends getting the award, because I'm watching them as I read the words, and the old adage, when good things happen to good people, and it really feels good. Now, my personal favorite of the three big things voice heralds do is sight heraldry. Now, some of the older kids may have heard of this. It's also called a town crier. They're the announcers. They're the ones that go around an event site, indoors or out, sometimes in rough weather, oftentimes in rough weather, and you'll hear us say, "Oyez, oyez," or "Hear ye, hear ye," and we do announcements for what's going on. Sometimes it's for the next hour, sometimes it's for the rest of the day, sometimes it's this half hour and we're coming back 30 minutes later with another announcement. That's that. If you go to school and they have announcements on the PA system, or you go to a sporting event and they have announcements on their PA system, that's really the same thing. It's someone who wants to get information out. It's when they want to tell everyone at an event what's going on. That's what sight heralds do. So there are other things. There's a lot of other things we do that's a lot of fun too, but before we get too deep into that, those are the three big things: is sight, and list, and court.
What are some things that kids can do to help the heralds?
Oh boy. First of all, heraldry, doesn't matter which one it is. We a lot of us carry notes with us. We have to. Sight heraldry, I'm carrying notes for all my paperwork, for all the announcements. I can't remember them. I know it looks like I remember them. I promise you, I can't remember them half the time. In list heraldry, there are cards that that the fighters have to hand us or take back to the tables, and it says who wins or loses. And in court heraldry, oh my God, all of those scrolls. We don't remember that stuff. We have scrolls. We have notes we read off of. If you wanted to carry some of that stuff for us, if you wanted to help us out, now, I'm not saying you automatically can. Everyone sometimes gets a little picky about who works with them.
Yes.
But you absolutely can ask.
Absolutely.
If you see me doing sight heraldry and you want to help, we're going to talk with your parents first. And there's going to be an adult following you, and it's not going to be me. Let's just get that out of the way right now, because I'm busy. I can't, if you're 5 or 6, I'd love to have you. I'd love to teach you how to do sight heraldry. It's a great thing to learn, and it's a great skill. But I'm not your parent, and I have things I have to do, so an adult's going to be coming with us. But if we can get that working, and you're willing to follow me for an hour and help me carry my paperwork, oh boy, I'll help you there. I'll be happy to have you follow me there.
What are some other things that even voice heralds do?
Oh, I mean, what type of trouble do we get into and get away with?
Well,
Okay, I'll be absolutely fair about this. You've probably seen us, if you've been to an event, calling names, calling the pairings like I talked about. And people say, how do you pronounce all of those names correctly? It's simple. I don't. So, mispronouncing names, that's something we do.
yes, I know.
Something else that we do that you might be able, a kid might be able to do this. I don't know how your kingdom does this. And on Steora, when we have feasts, it'd be nice to have a feast again sometime soon.
It would.
It's very traditional for someone to announce what the next course is, the next remove. And they try and pick a herald who's good projection, but they also want a little bit of ceremony, a little bit of fun with it. But if you're an older kid, 12 or 13, and you've got decent breath control, you have to know how to do this. You can't just go out and shriek. You're going to tear up your throat, and then you're going to hurt yourself, and your mom's going to be mad at me. But if you're loud enough to be heard, 20 feet away, which isn't very far, you could probably help call feast remove. And if you want to know how to do that, that's where you go talk to a herald, and those are planned out well in advance. So none of this you have to be naturally good at. We're going to find out what you need help with. We're going to help you. But if you want to call a feast, you could do that. Sometimes you're hired by someone to do personal voice heraldry. That's where I'll announce them. Instead of someone calling, like the list herald calling them into a tournament, I'll call them into a tournament. That's real common at Crown Tournament.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And there are no rules about how old the herald has to be. So if you're 12 or 13 and you want a voice herald, that's not impossible. It's definitely going to take a lot of planning.
Yes.
And you definitely have to have a parent with you. There's no flexibility on that. But it's not impossible. It's not a no because you're not an adult.
Can kids be banner bearers?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, good heavens. Can you hold a broomstick upright and not drop it? If the answer is yes, you can hold banners, which is displaying heraldry. Absolutely. Kids can wear heraldry. They can wear their parents' heraldry. There's no age restrictions on heraldry. A child could register heraldry with their parents' permission. You could wear your own heraldry. You could be, banner bearers, standard bearers, which is a flag, just kind of a slightly different thing. You could help with processions, like you carry other things, like for laurels. When people make laurels in the SCA, it's very common for the procession to include examples of the laurel's art. And I mean, depending on how fragile the art is, I'm not sure I would trust a 9-year-old with a glass vase, but I trust them with a steel bar, which I've seen presented before. Be worried about the floor at that point. No, but joking aside, heraldry includes ceremony. All of the big, beautiful ceremonies. There are rules and traditions that go into making those. And anything that's done that helps those ceremonies go forward generally falls under the auspices of heraldry. Not necessarily voice heraldry, but if you want to carry banners, please, yes, come carry banners. If you want to carry papers for the herald so his hands are free to do other things, come talk to us. We'll pay you, possibly in chocolate. I'm good for 2 pounds of Hershey's, hands down. That's the best investment I could make.
So what are some other things that heralds do? I mean, I know there's book heralds and voice heralds, but are there other types of heralds as well?
Oh, yes. How many hours do you have? Okay, so first of all, there's a heraldic officer. Now, I'm pretty sure Liadan has already talked to you about at least some of the things that heralds offer. We offer, you can consult names and heraldry, and you can be a voice herald. Now, SCA policy says that the local group needs to be able to make sure people have access to those services. That does not mean that the local herald can actually do all of those, because very rarely can they. That's a lot of things to ask one person to do.
Sure.
The local herald, the office of the local herald, his job is to make sure that if you need heraldry, they can make sure you get it. Now, that may very likely involve him saying, I know who you can talk to because I know who the heralds are. So if you're an older kid and 15, 16, 17, you could become a deputy to the officer, possibly fill out paperwork with him. That's absolutely legal. There is no rule saying you must be an adult to be a deputy officer. And
that's a great way to learn how
yeah,
to do something.
absolutely. And the deputy officer doesn't have to do everything. When I was an officer, I wasn't a heraldic officer, but I was an officer, and one of my deputies was 12, and his job at every archery practice was to pick up the firing line, which is a big roll of rope, and spin it out for the firing line. That was his job, and he loved it. He thought it was the greatest thing on God's green earth, and I didn't want to haul this big bale of rope everywhere. So that was his job, and he learned about the office doing it too. So it's the same thing. If you want to learn about the office of heraldry, which a lot of people don't. I know a bunch of you are rolling your eyes right now going, I don't want to do paperwork. Well, that's okay. You don't have to. But there are a couple of you right now, your ears are burning. You're like, oh, wait, this sounds interesting. You can absolutely talk to your local herald and ask, what does it involve to do your job? Could we talk about me maybe attending an officers meeting, especially if they're online now?
Oh, yeah.
Or me looking at paperwork with you, or learning. So that's one thing you can do, absolutely. If you want to do voice heraldry, now obviously we want to be very careful, because even adults can do this. If you yell wrong, if you're doing it wrong, you can hurt yourself, and you can seriously hurt your voice. Hurt your voice to the point where there's damage that doesn't heal type hurt. So we don't want to do that, and kids are very susceptible to that, because their vocal cords, all the muscles in their throat and all the tissue there is still developing. So that does not mean you can't do voice heraldry. It means that we need to be very careful, and it means that we need to teach you what to say and where to say it, and how you need to say it right now. And then when you're 16 or 17 and your voice has matured some more, we can teach you how to go to be obnoxiously loud at 100 yards away. And the other thing, there are probably some kids, and I was one of them, it wasn't with heraldry, but there are some kids who love nothing more in this world than just bury their nose in a book. And not just any book. They like facts, and they like pictures, and they like rules. Believe it or not, there are actually books about heraldry, specifically the names, and more specifically the arms, the arms and badges. And there's no rule about how old you have to be to see those books to learn how to use them. If you're hearing this and you want to learn about names or devices, and you want to learn how do these work, what's this conflict check, or what are the colors we can use? Oh, there are plenty of books that you are absolutely encouraged to look up or download, or see if you can get them at your local library, and talk to heralds. Talk to obviously talk to your parents, because we can't just say go online with a minor, but talk to your local heraldic officer, talk to local heralds, and see if they can teach you these rules. And if you're 12 and you want to learn this, welcome to the club. Oh, welcome to the club. We don't care if you're 12. If you're learning, and we're happy to have you.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, heraldry, first of all, heraldry is historical. We can document heralds in one form or another back to the first cities of man. Babylon and Mesopotamia. There were people whose job it was to announce things. That's history. there were people who did the job of heralds, even though they didn't have the title of heralds, mentioned in the Old Testament. They're mentioned in the scriptures. There are mentions of heralds in treaties from France, the German cities, England, across history. As a matter of fact, you can go online right now, and the office of the Herald, I believe the office of the Herald Chequered of the Crown of England is a current office with a web page in the English government site.
Cool.
So it's a current job. The United States Army has an office of heraldry.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yes. If you look at military units, they have insignia.
Fair enough.
There's an office that registers all of the insignia and makes sure none of them look alike. As a matter of fact, the White House has a Department of Heraldry.
That doesn't surprise me.
That handles anytime you see the president with the presidential seal, they have an office whose job it is to make sure the right documents get that seal and the wrong ones don't. So heraldry is current. Heraldry is a real-life, modern-day thing. We just don't call it heraldry very often.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of people are interested in. And if you're not 18 yet and you're interested in it, don't let that stop you. If you're interested in fighting and you're under 18, there are obvious limits.
Right.
If you're interested in being an officer and you're under 18, there are obvious limits. But if you want to do heraldry, trust me, the heraldic community will be overjoyed to have someone else in their ranks. We'll frankly adopt just about anyone. You have to be polite and you have to be honest. Other than that, we can work with just about any other shortcoming, and the fact I'm still here is proof of that. So, if you want to learn more about heraldry, yes, there are plenty of people out there. And if you want to learn more, now you can reach out to me, but as we've covered, you've got to go through the right channels. You need to talk to your parents. I don't care if you're 16. If you are not 18, you must go through your parents. But you can reach out to me. I'm available on social media. You can reach out to the Barony of Wiesenfeuer. For better or for worse, all the officers know me. And you could also reach out, of course, Liadan, who's been a friend of mine for 12 years now. And trust me, we are happy, overjoyed to answer questions. And if you're a kid and you're interested, we're going to make arrangements to make sure communications are safe. I don't want any kid feeling unsafe talking to an adult. But if you want to know more about heraldry, come talk to us. We will teach you. We will be overjoyed. The next time there's a big heraldic gathering, you can expect an invitation. And then you get to drag your parents to something instead of you having to follow them around. Right?
Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, guys, I want to thank Ivo for joining us today. And that's all the time we have for today. We'll see you next time.
Take care.